morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Guess who's been up since 2 o'clock in the morning? Yep, this person. So, wanted to talk about a few things, and those things are basically things I've learned in Egypt. And sadly, it is things that I've learned in Egypt and continue to learn in Egypt. Now, I had a question yesterday being asked to me yesterday while I was driving back home, and the question was, if I get an offer outside of Egypt, do I take it? I mean, without even blinking, I was like, take it. I was like, if you have an option to travel out of Egypt, get a job out of Egypt, go for it. Ironically, as HR, I'm not supposed to say that. As HR, I'm supposed to be like, no, stay here, stay here, come to my company. My company is my institution, my school is the best school you would work for. By the way, it is a great environment. It does have a lot of positives. It has negatives like any other place, but it has a lot of positives. And ironically, for those positives to appear, you're gonna have to be a little bit patient. It's all about the waiting game, because there's a lot of things that are currently in the pipeline that are meant to make things better, and hopefully will make things better. At least I hope so. But other than that, that's not the point, and that's not the conversation. The conversation was basically if you have an option to get out of Egypt, this is for Egyptians. If you have an option to get out of Egypt, get out of Egypt. I'll tell it to you more than once. I am a huge advocate of travel. If you have a chance to travel, because as the way things going currently in Egypt, they're not. The economic state is very unstable. No matter what salary you get, and this is a very sad reality, but no matter what salary you get, it ain't gonna be enough. First of all, the notion that you need to have a certain amount of money, for instance, I forgot what the site was, but there was a site that had it was Investopedia or something I'm not sure, but there was one site that had the living expenses in Egypt. How much do you need to live comfortably? And by comfortably is in this is the living wage. This is the living wage you need in Egypt in order to survive in Egypt. They considered rent, they considered a lot of other things, and the price was 14,000. Now, the average salary currently, if you're in a good company, the average salary is around 9, which is way below that 14. For you to get the 14, you have to have, first of all, be very lucky, be very good at negotiation, and then at the same time be very good at just being able to diversify your income. And in a place like Egypt, it is hard to diversify your income because you're going to be questioned about every single investment you do. Oh, is this investment, is this halal? This is halal. Or, oh no, you know that this is not, this is haram. And it's could you just, sometimes I just want to, okay, this is me being really irritable because, like I said, I only woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning today, and I haven't slept well, so this is me being irritable. But sometimes I just want to literally tell them to shut up. Let people be people. Let people do what they need to do in order to survive. You say that something is haram. If it's not related to alcohol, if it's not related to the things that are haram in the Quran, then let bygones be bygones. Just let them do whatever they do. And then in the end, I always say this, and I always say this on purpose. You're not the judge, and you will never be the judge. The judge is Allah. So, if you don't have some, I like the Emirati saying, if you don't have something nice to say, shut up. That's just how it is. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. But then here's the thing, in Egypt is more about wine. And I grew to that. I grew accustomed to that whining. Is that because here in Egypt, the only way you're going to get things done and you're going to get things changed is through ironically whining. Or whining and manipulation. And these are the two things I despise, but then you have no other option. For instance, I'll give you an example for like the whining part. So the prices are very high. They're incredibly high. They're stupidly high, and there's nothing being done. And then we're like, oh, we're just gonna like, it's just because we have an economic problem with I don't know what. Dude, the production is done locally. The supply is local, and everything is local. So how, in the ever-loving like belief system that you have, could this increase in prices be just because, oh, it's just there's a Ukraine war? It's like, dude, you're doing this to your own farm, in your own farm, with your own, by the way, with your own manure. Like, you use your own manure for your fertilizer, so you ain't getting anything from outside. I mean, like, yeah, maybe you can get like the food from outside. Even if you get the food from outside, how the increases in the prices wouldn't be like, would it be 200 to 300? And then the currency tanking is just insane. It's like, whenever I'm like, okay, good, everything is gonna be fine. We're good. We're gonna like start adjusting things. We're gonna start adjust the salary scale. Currency is tanking again, and I'm like, ugh. Because you can't just like keep increasing the prices, because it can't increase, because then you're gonna have a spiral. And then, okay, top of that all, the other thing, and this is a lot, again, this is the example of whining. Okay, so the other thing that I whine about like constantly is the fact that no matter what you do, like what do you do in your life, you're gonna have somebody who's always gonna be like, oh, you're not doing good enough, or you're not being good enough. Like, shut up. See, it took me 37 years to actually realize that in the end, it doesn't really, I really do not give a living F on what others say, because I've realized that no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you're not gonna be liked by everybody. So you know what? Do whatever you want to do for yourself. And yes, it's selfish. It's very selfish. But sometimes, you know what? Sometimes for you to be selfless, you're gonna have to be selfish. For you to take care of others, you need to like literally do your own. You can't just be like giving. You can't just do that. And yes, that is very harsh to say. And as a people pleaser, that is very hard to say as a people pleaser. And people pleasing is not a good thing. I mean, if one of your like strength is you're a people pleaser, that is not a strength. That is a weakness. Because you're gonna end up trying to squash your own values and your own belief system because you want to make people happy. And sometimes you need to stand up and just be like, tell the person in front of you, like, no, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. And deal with the consequences of saying that to a person. Especially if that person is higher up. Yeah. I was supposed to go today. I had some stuff that I needed to do today, and I'm like, I'm going to work now. It's just like, it's fun. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be another fun day. Now, if you ever want to work with me, like, I always tell people, I'm like, as HR, you're gonna find me like both really, really fun and really, really, really like. It depends on what type of personality you are, and it depends on what type of worker you are. I can be your best friend or your worst enemy. And the furnace that I have, or the furnace that I currently do, pretty much is we're gonna do whatever we need to do in order to make people to be fair. And yes, the amount of times that I heard the word, it is not fair. Why did this person get? Why did that person get? I mean, kind of, it no longer becomes a me problem, it becomes a you problem. Because in the end, I'm like sitting there and going like, yeah, you're busy looking at other people and what they did and what they have and what they have and what they do. Just get them with whatever you have to do. Like, I always joke around and like, I'll give you an example. So yesterday we were doing these calculations for one of the salaries, and idiotic me, this is an idiotic thing for myself to do. I because I know the limitations of the petty cash that we have. So I was calculating with that was putting that into consideration. So I was like, oh yeah, so this person worked this amount of times, completely ignoring the weekends, completely ignoring it. But then again, because here's the thing is because this is something, this is one of the, like, the positives slash negatives in the company, depending on how you look at it. But I consider it as positive. But let's say you decided to leave instantly, like you're tired, you just want to leave. Okay, now according to policies, you have to have at least a month's notice. If you're not going to get a month notice, there are consequences for that, for not giving a month notice. And those consequences is you get, like, the last salary you get. Let's say you decided to resign. You worked with us first of February, and you decided to quit. Okay, so quit on the 28th of February. Okay, so that's the end of the month. So you get calculated that month. But the way they calculated the month is it gets calculated, like, if it's a complete month, like we're talking about the entire month you've worked in, most probably you're gonna get the entire month, okay? Because that's kind of your right. But let's say you decided to throw a tantrum, which actually, like, happens more often than I'd like to admit in every company that I worked in. Like, every company has a tantrum throw. And I call it a tantrum throw because it's basically that's what it is. It's tantrum throw. So let's say you're tantrum throwing, and you decided that you're only gonna work one day, and you decided to take your quote-unquote annual leave the entire rest of the time. And you'll be like, yeah, well, this is my annual leave, and you have not worked for a year. Like, you've worked less than a year, and you're like, oh well, the labor law says that I can take my my annual leave after it by, like, once I finish the 3 months, I can take my annual leave. So you stay until the 3 months, you finish the 3 months, and then you take your annual leave of the 21, which is around 21 days. After, by the way, after a year, because a lot of people simply like to read the law how they want to read them. So it's after a year. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna work on, like, this time, and then, like, you're gonna calculate how much you're gonna work, and then before the 21 days, and then you're gonna take the 21 days, and then you're gonna quit without any, like, warning. You're gonna finish this one, you're gonna be like, or sometimes people actually wait until they take their chalice and then they quit. Now, in that event, the weekends are just a privilege. You don't get it. And before you hold the torches and things like that, let me explain why this is the way the calculation. So for me to get another person and replace a person, to take this person's job or that person's job, it costs a lot. It costs a lot. It costs a lot because you have to hire, the hiring process, the conversion, and then you have to pick somebody else. And then sometimes some cases, I would read the CV and I'm like, nah, this person's not going to be, like, something that I want that person to be. I don't think the person will be a good fit to us. But at the same time, I'm like, we're kind of in a tough spot, and I have to get somebody, like, to fill in. So there's that. There's then the fact that you took privileges that are not your privileges by taking, like I said, you waited until 3 months, and then you took your, like, 31 days, and blah blah blah. You can't find a fill in the blanks. So in that event, no, I will consider, like, when I do the calculation without the weekends. Because I'm like, sure, I'm like, this person just worked one day, so this person will get the one day that they worked. The amount of times in every company that I had, and let me tell you how different companies handle it, because, oh boy, they're like, does the cultural section come in, like, play in every single country? Like, every single country that this happened in, there's a different cultural setting, and the different cultural setting comes into play. So US is very much I don't want to get sued, so I'm just gonna, like, deal with you however I feel like dealing with you, because I don't want to get sued. I'm just gonna give you, like, whatever it is, and then, like, we say in Arabic khul. So just get lost. That's kind of like the U.S. mentality, because there's always like this idea of I'm gonna get sued, so I don't want to get sued. Dubai, because it's very much a collective thing, and it's like you're failing the entire team by leaving. Oh, you're literally, you're gonna be like, don't expect yourself to get a lot of money, because the way that the calculation is in Dubai, or like in Dubai, or like in the UAE, it's pretty much a how many hours did you work, and you get, like, let's say that your day is, let's say it's 100, okay, and you work 10 hours, so your hour in this case is 10. So like I said, 100, and you get 10, and you worked an entirety of 40 hours. Okay, you're gonna get the 400. That's it. And boy, if you're late, or if you decide to leave early, or if you decide to do anything, oh, you're gonna get that as well. They're like paper and pencil, and they do not really care what you think about. So Egypt is per company. Now, a lot of the times it's because there's a lot of humanity, like a lot of humane areas for it. So they do the whole, like, you know what, just give him the entire month. I'm like, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, oh, no, it is a big deal, because why should I give a person who did not work the entire month? I'm not going to do that. Even if they take, quote unquote, they take the annual holiday. Even the annual holiday has like a calculation to it. Because the way you calculate it is you divide 21 by, like, I forgot how it was, because like I said, I woke up at 2 o'clock, so literally my brain is just like fried. But pretty much you just have a different way of dealing with it, and it's fascinating. It is fascinating how things happen, or how things end up doing. So yeah, yay for that. So that is one thing. Anyways, other than that, everything else is going to be fine. Looks like I'm going to be a little bit early to work, which is good, because I need to at least have a power nap, if I can get a power nap. But knowing myself, I'm not going to get a power nap, and I'm just going to wait until like most probably I'll end up going just to get like coffee or something, like an energy drink or something, just to like wake me up and give me some caffeine boost for today. But yeah, it's fascinating. I like the cultural things and the nature things are fascinating for a country. Especially that. Anyways, yeah, I've been rambling a lot for a while. But anyway, so finally talking. So that's basically whining. That's an example of whining. Now, an example of manipulation is trying to like outsmart a department. That's part of a manipulation. Like, you basically push your employees to do something, and you're like, oh, just do this. You know what? I've got your back. And you and I both know you do not have their back, and you're gonna be putting them under the bus. But you're like, just meh, you can do it. Yeah. Alright, so have a great day. Bye bye.